Are we hours away, minutes away, or has it already happened yet? I guess it really depends on when you're listening to this, but Iran is on the deadline. Will that deadline be expended, or is it going to be the end of Iran? Let's talk about it.
Let's go.
I guess extended is really the word I was looking for there, but that's the big topic. And obviously, if you're watching live right now on YouTube, thank you. Hit that subscribe button if you're listening a little bit later. Don't know how the day is going to play out. If you're listening what is now tomorrow morning, it could be nothing but ash left. Look, I mean, I'm not trying to be dramatic here, but the president put out a Truth Social post that was very, very cryptic. Now, before I show it to you, I want to preface this by saying that there's an old saying, and again, this is not me trying to Trump-splain, justify anything. I'm just going to give you analysis here, right? That's what I like to do. I know that people that hate me will accuse me of trying to Trump-splain, justify, whatever. I'm analyzing. The old saying has always been, you take Trump literally, but you don't take him. No, you take him seriously, but not literally. I think that's always been the long saying with him. So, is this now his final way to get Iran to do what he wants, or have there been people around him who have convinced him that nothing short of just what could be maybe a nuclear strike, maybe an EMP, maybe something very, very bad is going to happen? I don't know. But look, I mean, the concept of using an EMP, for example, I guess, I mean, everybody's assuming nuclear. The problem with that is you've got, well, there's lots of problems with that, but you've got allies in the region that would be affected by the radiation, theoretically by the winds, and it's not exactly the perfect scenario for your friends and neighbors. An EMP could take out and wipe out the entire country and set them back for years in terms of their ability to use electronics and power plants and everything else. I only know that because I watched Paradise on Hulu, which I highly recommend. That's certainly a possibility. It could be a series of long-range, big-time rockets, Moab, mother of all bombs, or it could just be simply Trump bluster to Iran, because Iran's thinking right now, and apparently their news reports are, they're putting human shields at bridges and at power plants, and they're putting children in front of these things and all these other things. Don't know if that's true or not. Wouldn't surprise me, of course. But clearly, there are people who are hoping that the absolute worst happens at 8:01 p.m. Eastern Time. And there are other people that are hoping that by 7:59 p.m., Iran picks up the phone and goes, all right, okay. You got us, and we are ready to make a deal. We still got a minute left. We got 35 seconds left. Here's the Truth Social post the president posted that everybody is talking about. And he's not mincing words here when he says that a civilization will cease to exist. That's not mincing words. That's not anything that would suggest to somebody that he's playing, I don't know, cute. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably will. However, now that we have complete and total regime change, where different, smarter, and less radical minds prevail, maybe something revolutionarily wonderful can happen. Who knows? We will find out tonight. One of the most important moments in the long and complex history of the world. 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death will finally end. God bless the great people of Iran. And in case you are wondering, yes, revolutionarily would count in Scrabble. I only know that because we were talking about it on set today at Fox News. How to get my first mention in, right? Nice and early on the show. Well, hey, depending on when you're listening, I may not be around to share that with you. So I figured I'd Get it in right away, right off the top. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. Well, that certainly captures your attention. I don't know exactly if the reports are true, but I've seen a lot of them that Iran has cut off all communication and diplomatic ties with the United States of America. I don't know if that's true either. I don't know if Iran's going to call President Trump's bluff, or if there are, if as we get closer to that 8 p.m. deadline, if there's going to be a coup. I know that there's people here in America hoping for a coup. I mean, you have right now Steve Bannon, you've got Alex Jones, and you've got other people, Anthony Scaramucci, who's now running for president, openly saying that they should use the 25th Amendment against President Trump. That's certainly not going to happen. J.D. Vance was out there saying today, earlier, as he was speaking in Hungary, the president has weapons at his disposal that he has never used before. So they're certainly flirting with the idea that this could be a nuke, a bomb, something like that. Tucker Carlson is posting a clip from Mark Levin from his Sunday night show on Fox News, where he talked about the decision that Harry Truman made to drop nukes or atomic bombs, same thing, but, atomic bombs on Japan. And he's saying that what he's doing is he's in Trump's ear saying that Trump has to nuke Iran. So I'll ask you, and we'll put the poll question up. Do you think it's going to be a nuke? I don't. Of course, I'm an eternal optimist. I just don't think it's going to be a nuclear weapon. I'm guessing if it's going to be something that severe and that extreme, if the Strait of Hormuz is not open by 8 o'clock, it'll be an EMP. I'll go with EMP. I'll go with that one, which is not a joke, by the way. An EMP can disable a civilization for many years to come, and it could be the kind of situation where, yeah, you could have a lot of deaths, and it could be an EMP with lots of rockets and an EMP with lots of bombs. I'll also, the optimist in me will say that by 7:59, the red phone on the White House desk rings. And it's not just simply somebody asking the president if he wants his 48th Diet Coke of the day. I'll be an optimist in that sense. I certainly hope so, because the idea of this being an entire civilization dying tonight obviously has major ramifications that we've never dealt with or haven't dealt with in a very, very long time. Because there's other countries in the world that are on Team Iran. I don't know how they're going to react. Like, for example, today there's a story in the Wall Street Journal. It's all about China. And the reason why Iran has been able to keep the lights on is because China keeps buying their oil. It's nothing new. We've talked about this before. But Iran has been helping China. Russia's helping China. And then, of course, you have sleeper cells and you have proxies and you've got these other people around the world who would probably react in a way that I would think would be quite dangerous if that is the case. So we'll see. Between now and then, everybody's waiting. It's a very strange day in the sense that we're all kind of in this wait and see pattern here, excuse me, of waiting. And then there are other people who are hoping, like Lindsey Graham, hoping that we do, in fact, blow them up. And this is what he told Sean Hannity.
Sure, I'd prefer a deal. And what's the goal of the deal is to make sure Iran cannot be the largest state sponsor of terrorism like they were for 47 years. They can't have a missile program that can affect Europe or the United States. And they forever will be denied a nuclear weapons capability. The Strait of Hormuz not only has to be open, it can never be controlled again by Iran. All the 60% uranium has to be taken out of Iran. There can't be 1 ounce of this 60% grade uranium left in Iran. That would be a bad outcome. They could make a dirty bomb or one day enrich to 90%. So my goal is to get it right. I'd prefer diplomacy, but if we have to use military force, we're going to do it. The one thing Trump has tried to do is get it right. Everybody else talked about it, but nobody did a damn thing. Trump has done it right. Their military has been obliterated. The goals of no nukes, no missiles, no state sponsor of terrorism were inside the 10-yard line. As to the Strait of Hormuz, right now they're charging ships, the IRGC, the Iranians, to go through the straits, and they're taking the yuan, not the dollar. One threat of this whole debacle is if we start allowing the Chinese currency to be traded in oil, that will hurt the dollar. In 1974, every barrel of oil sold and traded in the world is traded in dollars. Now, what are the Iranians trying to do? They're trying to change the currency from a dollar to a Chinese yuan, and that's an attack on the dollar. And that needs to end, too. So I'm very optimistic that President Trump's going to bring this regime to an end one way or the other. I prefer diplomacy. But this time tomorrow night, they're either going to do a deal that makes sense for the world and the region and for Iran itself, or we're going to blow them up.
We're going to blow them up. You know, of all the people to say it, I'm sorry. I would say of all the people to make that pause right there, like, does it have to be Lindsey Graham? You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's a tense day. All right. So you have to cut me a little bit of slack. But
Rich, the beginning of this clip, we trimmed it, but it's...
The message is unmistakable. The U.S. has the power, the will to do anything inside of Iran while life continues as usual inside the USA. This war has already been decided. The only question now, tonight, in the next 23 hours, when will Iran's extremist leaders accept the reality of their situation? Will they do it the easy way? Will they do it the hard way? I pray for our troops. I pray for our country. I pray for the world. They give the president the deal that he is, and they take the deal the president's offering. Here with reaction, South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. A lot of people think that you're a hawk, and in many ways, you are.
A lot of people?
A lot of people, Sean?
I mean, his
like
mother would
all the
describe
people.
him that way.
Yeah, that's all the people think that, by the way. Not a lot of people. And by a lot of people, I mean every person, everywhere, all the people. So they're either going to do what we want or we're going to blow them up. Okay. Let me focus. Can we just hear that last part? No, you know what? Let's not, because it's maybe just the very last part of what he said.
I prefer diplomacy, but this time tomorrow night, they're either going to do a deal that makes sense for the world and the region and for Iran itself, or we're going to blow them up.
We're going to blow them up. Look, you know, on a day that we're talking about nuclear war, I mean, you got to forgive me if I'm grasping here at something to add a little levity, anything, you know. But the good news is, okay, not good news. Brett Barrett's call with POTUS, 8 p.m. is happening. He's sticking to that at this point. Now, he said if negotiations move forward today and there is something concrete, that could change. I think the president is betting on the fact that Iran is going to cry uncle, because he said as much. That's what I think he's ultimately believes is going to happen. And that by 7:59 p.m. tonight, the red phone on the desk in the proverbial red phone, because I don't know if there's still, the last time I was there's not actually like a red phone anymore, but you get the point.
The war's about one thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Had we not broken the Barack Hussein Obama agreement, you know what I'm talking about, the Iran nuclear deal. This is years ago, my first term. You would have had a total, Israel would have been gone, extinguished. Israel would have been wiped off the face of the earth, and the entire Middle East would have been, at a minimum, in big trouble. But I did it. That was phase one. We killed Soleimani. Without Soleimani, if they had Soleimani, it would be a whole different thing. Maybe. We'd still be winning, but it would have been harder. Because we are obliterating that country. And I hate to do it, but we're obliterating, and they just don't want to say uncle. They don't want to cry, as the expression goes, uncle, but they will. And if they don't, they'll have no bridges, they'll have no power plants, they'll have no anything. I won't go further because there are other things that are worse than those two. And we might have, well, the thing, if I had my choice, what would I like to do? Take the oil. Because it's there for the taking. There's not a thing they can do about it.
All right. So let's assume it is an electromagnetic pulse EMP attack, which is what a lot of people are wondering if that would be the case. By the way, if you've not seen the show Paradise on Hulu, I highly recommend it. Season 1 was excellent, but the president in the show has the opportunity to use an EMP to stop the nuclear missiles from landing on planet Earth from all the other countries as the world is ending. I mean, I don't want to spoil too much if you haven't seen it. This is a good show, but EMP. And so you learn a little bit about that. And, you know, some of it is Hollywood and some of it is obviously what the real life implications are. But I'll give you the quick AI overview. An EMP is a burst of electromagnetic energy that can damage or destroy sensitive electronic equipment and infrastructure over a large area, potentially causing widespread, long-term disruption to modern society. While it does not directly harm humans, it can effectively turn off the power grid, transportation, and communication systems, cascading failures. Electric grid failure. A major long-lasting blackout is the most critical threat. High-altitude EMPs can damage transformers and transmission lines, requiring years for full replacement. Widespread electronics damage. Computers, smartphones, and communication devices will fail. This includes modern infrastructure controls, disrupting the internet, financial networks, and medical systems. And it's not like you just flip a switch. It's not like this is one of those things where the power goes out and you wait for, you know, PSE&G to come and fix everything. It's not like that. And I think some people, based on watching too much television, have been under the idea you drop an EMP and it knocks out people's power for a little bit. I mean, I think Batman. I think in the Dark Knight, maybe the Dark Knight Rises. I think maybe he isn't like a small EMP device or something like that. No, this kind of an EMP.
Ocean's 11. It's a key plot point too.
Key plot point in Ocean's 11 is an EMP. I don't remember that plot point. When did they use it?
That's with the and then the Don Cheadle is like a British guy and he has an EMP, but that's part of his thing.
Okay, to disable their cameras and things like that in the casino.
It ends up that they launch the EMP. Something bad happens on the power grid, and they realize their vulnerability, so they don't use the EMP. So he has to do something else.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah.
It's not like that. It's not like a guy going up to the electrical line, like, you know, pulling out a plug. You fix it on Thursday, kind of a thing. You know, it's like, well, you know, a car hit a thing, and you know the thing's out, and we got a transformer blew, and no, it's a little bit more than that. It's serious. If that is what happens tonight, and again, I'm not making the prediction it's going to happen. I'm giving you all of the things that I'm reading and hearing, and all the talk from military people about one of the things the president could be considering. You would have transportation paralysis because modern vehicles, which Iran has many of, I think it's easy to think of them as just camels, but they actually have a lot of modern vehicles with electronic control units may stop working, leading to traffic chaos. Some studies suggest a minority of cars may suffer. The overall transportation sector would be severely crippled. Communication shutdown, cellular networks, internet and radio systems will likely fail, preventing coordination and emergency responses. Wastewater systems would fail. Water systems, gas stations, food supply logistics will stop operating, threatening basic needs. Societal breakdown. Without power, water, and food logistics, urban areas could face severe shortages, leading to widespread panic and potential civil unrest. Economic collapse. The financial system would cease, destroying personal savings, halting transactions, and causing long-term, perhaps permanent global economic damage. Healthcare crisis. Hospitals would lose power, making it impossible to treat large numbers of patients dependent on medical technology, resulting in high mortality rates over time. The severity depends on the detonation altitude, i.e. high altitude, location, and intensity. A super EMP weapon could maximize damage over a large geographic area. Protected systems, often found in military hardware, are less vulnerable to damage, whereas consumer electronics are highly susceptible. Of course, we also don't know what technology the United States military has developed to be able to take out military electronic devices as well. you know, obviously we've thought about this before. And you remember when the Chinese spy balloon was going across America, and one of the theories was, is this a test run for what would be one day a Chinese EMP? And we talked about how we in the United States would be ready for something like that, at least insofar as being able to harden our systems, but that our grid would be incredibly vulnerable to it, for example. Do we have the technology to be able to take out whatever military electronics would be theoretically shielded from an EMP? Again, I don't know. I mean, it's the idea of the total annihilation of technology that you see in movies, not necessarily guaranteed. We've never really seen one on that kind of a scale before. But when the president says an entire civilization is going to be destroyed, it's either Trump bluster, it's either a nuke, or it's either something like this, combined with other, I would imagine, other bombs and missiles that would make the rebuilding of these things even more impossible, at least in the short run, setting Iran back literally to the proverbial Stone Age. But at that point, it wouldn't be proverbial anymore. It would be a very, very real thing. I don't know. I mean, none of us know. No one has an idea right now what is going to happen. We're all waiting. And it's one of those situations where it's the literal doomsday clock is counting down. And we're a few seconds closer every single, as I'm talking, we're getting closer. As you're listening to this, we're getting closer to this. And all you hope is that between now and then, the bat phone rings and, you know, some deal has been struck, and it's Jared Kushner on the other end and Steve Witkoff, and they've got, you know, we got a deal. The Strait of Hormuz is open and everything's moving, going through there. Because with all these things, there are unintended consequences. Clearly, obviously, what could some of those unintended consequences be? Well, how other countries around the world react to that. You know, does North Korea freak out and fire a nuclear missile because North Korea thinks it's next? Does Russia do something more dramatic? Does China do something? Does China invade Taiwan thinking that now's their moment, that they got to take it now? Who the hell knows? And I'm certainly not going to sit here and speculate in all the doomsday scenarios, but I would imagine very smart people right now in the White House Situation Room are going through all the various scenarios. And hopefully they're looking at this from the perspective of, if this scenario happens, then that could trigger this. And if that triggers that, that could trigger this. So that's where we are at this moment. I think the idea of a nuke being dropped on Iran seems very less likely, because given the fact that the winds, radiation spreads, and it could harm other very friendly allies of ours. It could harm Israel. So I don't particularly see that happening. And I'm gonna hope that what happens is, like I said, bluster leads to them thinking, oh, this guy isn't messing around. And that's always been his thing, right? Like we talked about on the show yesterday. We talked about this a million times. Trump wants to go into these situations with people thinking that he's crazy. Nothing short of that. And that, given the chance, he'll pull out the codes, punch him in, and then see ya. Boom. He wants his enemies to think that he will 100% do that. Whereas they would think that people, first of all, Joe Biden wouldn't know the codes, and they gave him the Fisher-Price nuclear code kit anyway that my 5-year-old daughter Reagan has. It's like, you know, pushing those buttons and you launch missiles like boom, 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 boom. But I mean, other countries would never imagine these other presidents would do something like that. Trump's whole thing is, I'm unpredictable, I'm crazy, I'll do whatever I have to do. That leverage point is what he wants to use so that Iran does not get knocked back into the Stone Age. We shall see. That is the big story of the hour, brought to you by Dr. Mike Veneria. Veneria Dental. Go see him today for your perfect smile. VANARIA, VeneriaDental.com. 2 locations to serve you in Cinnaminson and Woodbury. And that's where we are right now. And I want to just mention this as well. You know, as we're all looking at this and we're thinking to ourselves, okay, if the worst case scenario happens tonight, does that mean that this is the end of Iran? Not necessarily, because there's a lot of targets. The Wall Street Journal has been, I think, well, many people have said it's very pro-war. It's like, yeah, well, you pick up the Wall Street Journal and the Wall Street Journal's all in on on this war and this conflict. They actually, the editorial board put out an opinion. Trump's ultimatum target list in Iran, and escalation shouldn't punish the people more than the regime. President Trump hailed the rescue of 2 U.S. airmen. They talked about that. And when you read the op-ed, it says that, if I can get to the part here, excuse me about this here. Let's see here. This directs all eyes to Mr. Trump's Tuesday night deadline for Iran to reopen Hormuz. He could always delay it again, but at his news conference, he laid out what he'd need to see. We'll have to have a deal that's acceptable to me, Mr. Trump said. As part of the deal is going to be, we want free traffic of oil and everything else. If not, we have a plan where every bridge in Iran will be decimated by 12 o'clock tomorrow night, where every power plant in Iran will be out of business. I think it's an interesting choice of words there, be out of business. We will soon find out who's calling bluff, but don't expect Iran's regime to care much about what strikes like those would do to its people. Taken literally, Mr. Trump is proposing to hit many targets that would harm Iranian civilians, which could spark a refugee crisis. Striking indiscriminately at critical infrastructure would be wrong as well, they write. Wrong as well as unwise, punishing the Iranian people we need on our side. They would be willing to suffer for that in order to have freedom, Mr. Trump said. Regime mismanagement has already left Iran's grid in a permanent state of crises, but such an attack could give Iranians all the suffering with none of the freedom. It could also erode support for the war at home and abroad. Again, this is the Wall Street Journal editorializing this, and they've been, I think, for the most part, pretty positive on the conflict. The obvious solution is to discriminate between types of infrastructure. Bridges can be legitimate targets, but it depends if they have any military use of note. Otherwise, why punish the people, they ask. Energy sources can also be legitimate targets if they have a particularly notable military nexus, such as providing fuel for missile launchers. But not every energy target will meet that standard, and the military benefit doesn't justify plunging 90 million people into darkness. One yardstick by which to judge any U.S. escalation is this: in addition to increasing pressure, which may never be enough to sway Iran's regime, will it help prepare an operation to reopen Hormuz? The U.S. has a strong interest in causing chaos for Iran's military, and targeting can allow it to do so without bombing every power plant in the country. But again, I want to remind you, Bret Baier said just moments ago that he talked to the president. The president is sticking with the 8 p.m. deadline being the thing, 8 p.m. So that's where we are at this point. That's where we are. So we will see where this day brings us. I have a bunch of other stuff to get to today besides Iran. And since this could be our last show, you never know, we'll talk about other things too. But first, I want to thank our great sponsor and tell you about my happy place, the beautiful oceanfront Grand Hotel of Cape May, New Jersey. Now, I know it feels kind of early, but it's not. Memorial Day is going to be here before you know it. Memorial Day is going to be a wonderful, wonderful start to summer. And I want you to be there at the Grand Hotel because they have an amazing package for you. Stay 4 or more consecutive nights, and Thursday night is free. That's right, free. You and your family and friends can enjoy a variety of guest rooms, suites, and townhomes while you relax by the Olympic-sized outdoor or Olympic-sized indoor heated pool. Grab an amazing meal at Hemingway's restaurant. They have amazing steaks, the freshest seafood anywhere on the Jersey Shore, and much more. And you can get a bucket of drinks and poolside service and handcrafted cocktails. Don't delay. Book your stay today and book direct with them for the best rates. Visit them at grandhotelcapemay.com. grandhotelcapemay.com. This is an interesting thing, I thought, as we talk a lot on the show about culture and where we are with culture. I am convinced more and more every day Jennifer Newsom may be a Republican. No, I'm serious. She's either one of a few things. She's either artificial intelligence, she's a fembot, she's a Republican who secretly hates her husband, which I can understand. I mean, think about it. Look, his last wife literally hated him so much, she became a star on Fox News, then was engaged to a Trump. Now she's a something to do with something with art in Greece or something or other. But I'm talking about Kim Guilfoyle. Like Kimberly Guilfoyle was at one point the first lady of San Francisco. She hated him that much. She literally became a Republican and became a star in Fox News. Maybe Jennifer Siebel Newsom is the smartest person in America right now. Like she's playing this act of this annoying, because it is annoying. I mean, annoying white woke. What?
Just no. But also, I love the idea that Gavin can just pick an undercover Republican, right? Like he's on like the dating apps, and he's like, I don't know, there's something about this girl I like. Undercover Republican.
It's not that. It's remember how Kramer was able to turn them from being a lesbian
that's what it
into
is.
straight.
The power of Gavin's liberalism is so strong.
Yes,
that it pushes women
into. Thank you. It's like remember that Costanza goes, I turn him to lesbianism, he turns him back.
Right.
Gavin's he's that much of a D bag that he literally takes these women and then they become like conservative. Like I wouldn't be surprised if in 5 years it turns out Jennifer Siebel Newsom is actually with Eric Trump. Like Eric's left Laura.
I mean, maybe Barron, huh?
Oh yeah, Barron. I mean,
you might like an
she's
older
a
lady.
cougar.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Very possible. And I'm only kidding about Eric and Laura, by the way. You don't give up Laura Trump. What are you, crazy? Come on. But his wife, she's so freaking annoying. She can't be real. It's like she can't be real. No woman can be this much of a caricature of the white, woke, annoying, college-educated woman who just drives working-class men crazy. Like, I talked about this today with my friend Melissa when we were on Fox News. And I said that. I said, I thought they're trying to win back white working-class men and black working-class men and Latino working-class men. Every guy who works for a living thinks this woman sounds like a freaking nut and drives them crazy. So how is it possible Jennifer Newsom can be real?
You were on Fox today?
Oh, did I not mention that I was on Fox News this morning?
I was doing something else. Okay, my fault.
Sorry, my bad. And I wore my purple tie in honor of Dana's new book, Purple State, which comes out 2 weeks from today. Because I am a giant kiss ass. And literally at the end of the interview, and you'll see this in the clip, when she says, we should talk more about that. I said, well, if you want anybody for your podcast, I got a guy. And then I looked at Bill Hemmer and I said, I just shamelessly invited myself back on Dana's podcast.
Whoever does your social media, cut that out. Didn't know if that was going to help you or hurt you on social, so decided to err on the side of just Rich giving analysis.
Probably a smart idea. That's why your instincts are a lot better than mine. She's like, yeah, I'll have you back.
Put her on the spot on national television. Yeah, she's kind of twisted her arm into that. You're gonna have a tight 2 minutes. She's got an hour-long daily podcast. You're gonna just get. Thanks, Rich.
It's like asking that woman to marry you in front of the baseball stadium on the second date. You know,
and she has to say yes in the baseball stadium or on national television. But it doesn't mean you're gonna go home and not have a real conversation.
Right. The real conversation is going to be like, so I don't want to embarrass you in front of millions of people, but this isn't going to work.
I just discontinued it. I totally forgot to mention that I stopped doing my contractual Fox podcast. So weird. Today's my last episode.
I get her to cancel her own podcast.
Right at her
Rather than have me back on, Perino just cancels Perino on politics. It's the only way out of this.
You thought that was me? That's Bob Perino. Bob Perino on politics. That's not. I fill in for him sometimes, but that's not.
I go in to do her podcast, and it's like, now today's guest host on Perino on politics, Jimmy Fula. Like,
you can.
Okay.
You want me on the Friday before Memorial Day? That's a very specific booking. Almost like.
It's almost like you knew I'm getting heart surgery and I was going to be out for 3 weeks and not able to.
Ugh, what a coincidence, Rich. That's the exact only time I have this whole year.
Actually, the last time Jimmy invited me on his Saturday night show, Fox News Saturday Night, was the Friday we were in Cape May. And he asked me to do that night, knowing full well as a host on WPHT that I would be in Cape May doing my show that night. So it's like one of those things like, hey, are you free on the Friday, December 20th? Jimmy, that's the night I'm doing the Kate May show. Oh, son of a gun. Well, we'll get you back.
What are the chances?
That was December. Yeah. Who knew? Anyway, here's AI secret Republican secret plot designed to further alienate men from the Democrat Party. Jennifer Siebel Newsom.
Like every problem that we have in society right now will be fixed when women come together and partner with our male allies and other allies. But when more women are in the rooms making decisions, changing the status quo and transforming not just our culture, but our society and our economy. I'll give you one example. Look at tech at Silicon Valley. Had more women been early on in those companies or at the tables of power making decisions, I don't think we would have so much or have allowed for so much sort of bigotry, racism, misogyny, and hate online.
All the words.
I don't think that we would have the anonymity of it. I think that there would have been ooh, that's unkind. That's not okay. You can't make money off of that, about dividing people, misinforming people, belittling people, bullying people. I mean, again, think about who's the victims online more often than not. It's women, LGBTQ+, marginalized communities, women of color.
Buzzwords. Okay, so she's saying it's annoying. Everything that comes out of her mouth is annoying. She's talking about censorship, and it's girl power, and all the buzzwords of all the things that drive men freaking nuts that James Carville has said over the years. When he's not insane, when he's not, like I've said, I think has this psychiatric disorder where on some days he can give really good analysis. He'll go on with Kayleigh McEnany on Saturday on Fox News, and he'll give really good analysis about how the Democrat Party needs to stop saying stuff like that, how you need to keep people like that far away if you're ever going to win again. And then the other days, he just loses his mind and starts screaming about Trump dying and taking his fat ass and all the other things. So, I mean, I think the guy is truly psychotic, but that's literally everything he's warning about the Democrat Party has to get away from if they ever want to win again. But here's the other tell, and I don't know if you caught this or not. I'll see if you caught this. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, and again, youtube.com/@RichZeoli show. If you're listening and you want to catch the show, which you should do, just type in my name, Zeoli, Zeoli, and you'll be able to see it, and hit the subscribe button if you would. Jared, did you catch the other tell that I have, that my theory, I may be onto something here?
No, I feel like I'm on this. Please.
Okay, let's see if anybody catches it. All right. It's the legs. She's showing leg. When was the last time you saw a true lefty woman show leg like that? They're always wearing freaking pantsuits, right? I think a lot of this is tongue in cheek. I don't really know if she's a secret AI plot, a secret deep down Republican. I don't know if she hates Gavin. He has this ability to turn women who were one-time Democrats into rabid conservative Trump supporters. But if he does, if that's his superpower, one of the tells here is that lefty lunatic, that lefty girl power girl is showing leg in a time when all these women wear nothing but pantsuits. They never show leg. Never. That's like if you pause that right there and looked at Jennifer Newsom, you'd be like, Fox News babe, right there.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Right? In that moment, right there in that clip, what you're seeing is a woman wearing a leopard print dress that is, I think it's a dress, or maybe it's a blouse and a skirt, and the skirt goes down half thigh, mid thigh, and you can see her legs, and they're nice legs, they're good looking legs. But we're used to Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris pantsuits, not that. That's got Fox News written all over it. I think she's hoping that I'm gonna drive everybody freaking crazy. Gavin will get the nomination. He'll lose. And I'll be like, I did it, America. I helped drive you away into the arms of the Republicans. And it was all a joke. It was all because I hate this man so much. I don't know. But while discussing efforts to regulate big tech and social media, his wife says that boys who spend time online end up moving to the right. And she calls that dangerous. And again, if you are trying to win back men to the Democrat Party, you don't say things like this.
Boys, we all know, I think, or increasingly are realizing that boys are moving away from sort of the more progressive boys that spend time online are moving a little bit I'm trying not to be political here, but are moving to the right and being
You're always being
influenced
political, Jennifer.
by the Andrew Tates and some of that sort of alt-right socialization online that we know is very, very dangerous. My husband and I were alarmed when our kids were watching sports online, and my son knew about Andrew Tate and thought he was pretty cool, and thought that his Republican grandfather, who's not a Trumper but a fiscal conservative, thought that my father would like Andrew Tate. So that's scary. We're like one of the most progressive households, and our son is confused and asking all these questions. We're working on legislation to hold tech companies accountable and help them be a force for good in our kids and families' lives, to really provide all the best in class resources and support for youth so that they don't go down this rabbit hole of very, very dangerous and limiting narratives around ultimately what it means to be a girl and what it means to be a boy. We owe it to them and ourselves to kind of heal this this gift of modern technology, but curb it to be a force for good. I mean, look, the Gov and I, we have 3 more years. We're trying to institutionalize.
First, just stop it right there. What is she wearing? What's that outfit? Is that like a leather dress?
Well, I was going to call it BDSM Steve Jobs. It's like a leather turtleneck. I don't know. I didn't know they made those.
She's again leather, not something you typically see from somebody on the left. I'm sure it's vegan leather, but still, right?
So you think she's trying to telegraph visually to you, Fox News, like that she's trying to let people know?
It's if you turn the sound off and just watched her, you'd be like, okay, she looks like she's auditioning for a Fox News gig. Then you listen to her and you go, she's advocating censorship. But if you really break it down, she's promoting these online right-wing guys, because now all of a sudden you're going to turn around and go, well, who are these people? I'm going to go tune in to listen to them so I can find out what they're saying. So she's actually pushing people towards that audience.
You think she's negatively polarizing people to go check those things out?
Yes.
I know that you're having, this is tongue-in-cheek. I think it's more wild. She seems like the kind of person that hasn't talked to a normal person, that like her group, this is just what they talk about, right? Like all the time. Like this isn't weird for them. They're just like, yeah, and all these men, you know, if women ran the world, if we had been invited to create social companies, nothing bad would have happened. We wouldn't have cared about the money. We would have cared about the dialogue. And all our friends like, yeah, you're so smart. You should say that the next time you're sitting on stage in your Elizabeth Holmes, you know, leather turtleneck holding up your fake pill. Like, I think it's so weird that like she thinks this is something that goes on stage. That's how normal she thinks this is.
So at the club, when they're all drinking mimosas on Sunday morning after playing pickleball, and they're sitting there and she's going on about this, and all the other women are like, you should totally go out there and say that. That's amazing. Like, down with
Jennifer,
the patriarchy.
You are onto something. You're so
Jennifer,
right.
like, I totally agree. I don't know what that, but then they look at each other when she gets up from the table, like, I don't know what she's talking. Does anyone know what she's talking about? Or it's that all her friends are these woke lefty lunatics, and this is just how they talk all the time.
I think that
not around real normal people.
She sounds like a person that has been corrected on missing a letter when she says LBGTQIA+. And that somebody goes, excuse me, are you not going to mention 2S?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think she's...
You forgot the symbol for Native American spirit gays.
You didn't do that. Yep.
You didn't do that. All right. So now that I brought this up, the question is this. What are you more as far as the future goes, are you more interested in A, does Iran get an EMP attack, or B, does Jennifer Newsom turn out to be some secret Republican weapon? What is it? Which one do you think is more realistic? All right. I'm sorry. It's one of those days, you know? All right, it's Tri-County Auto time. I was there over the weekend. We were looking at cars. Great experience. You're going to love it there. They take great care of the family. They had hot dogs for the kids, popcorn for the kids, a play area for the kids, and great specials and deals for you. What if your next truck took you further and took you further for less? Right now at Tri-County Toyota, you can get up to 24 miles per gallon on a new 2025 Toyota Tacoma SR5 when you finance it for only 2.99% APR, including their Tri-County for Life guarantee. Go farther, spend less, and love every mile. Visit them at 15 D&L Drive in Royersford or online at tricountytoyota.com today. Tricounty.com. Go see my buddy Brian Krieger or Jack Donaldson, the general manager. Make sure you tell them I sent you. They will take great care of you. And look for the gigantic American flag that sits between Tri-County Toyota and the Tri-County Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram dealership right across the way. Two great dealerships and a wonderful family, and close to King of Prussia, Exton, the main line, Jersey. Only took me 40 minutes to get there. Everywhere. Tricounty.com. There is a couple other things I wanted to get to with you as we continue on the show today, and we're looking at lots of things. But one of the other issues in the world right now is AI, obviously, and whether or not Jennifer Newsom is AI remains to be seen. But a couple of things I wanted to go through. And the regulating our children conversation is one we're going to have tomorrow. Not today, tomorrow. But I want to tease it with, once again, a Democrat member of Congress named Josh Gottheimer has stepped in to now mandate age verification for your children. He's a New Jersey congressman, and he put in this bill, which is now before the United States Congress, and it would essentially now force Apple and Google and others to verify users' ages before kids could download potentially harmful apps. I'd love for you to give this some thought because it's going to affect you as well. You may be using a different name. Like our buddy Navy Prepper, Manglemush, whatever it is. You're probably using an alias on social media. There's a reason for that. You may not want the government to know who you are for lots of different reasons. His bill would end that. And we're going to talk more about that tomorrow, assuming that we're all still here. But I want to set the table for you for that and to start thinking about that. Do you want to see congressionally required, so federal government required age verification? They're doing this in states. I don't agree with it, as you know, because I want to protect anonymity on the internet. And as a parent, I believe I have a job to do. And whenever you let the government jump in and solve the problem, it creates more problems. Right? I'm from the government. I'm here to help protect your children. Doesn't end well. Let's not forget Ronald Reagan's famous warning. But it's one thing when a state does it, because if you don't like it, you can move from a state. If Congress does it, now it's a federal law. Now it applies to all 50 states. So is that something you'd want to see? I disagree with Florida doing it. But again, you have a choice. You don't have to live in Florida. You can live in a different state, although more people are moving to Florida than ever before. But you can also, it's easier to elect a new legislature. It's easier to elect a new governor. It's a little bit difficult if this becomes a federal law to change it at the federal level, as you know, because now you're talking about having to change the political party of the Congress. They can't even agree on daylight savings time. So the idea that you're ever going to, if this becomes law, ever undo it. No, if it becomes law, it's law. And that'll be it. And then we will lose our anonymity online. There is no way to protect your anonymity because I don't care what they tell you. I don't care if they have this thing that will magically make your license blow up, online so that they can't store it. They will be able to know exactly who you are, and you one day will say the wrong thing and will find yourself on the other end of your government because you said the wrong thing. You said hate speech. You said disinformation. Maybe you're casually outed in some list that just was put out there, and you find out, your employer finds out you're actually this giant right-wing pain in the ass known as cynical libertarian, and you lose your job. Whatever it is. I do not believe for a second. There is 0.0% of me that believes that even if they tell you they don't store that information, there is not a way for the government to know exactly who you are once you upload your ID into the system for the purposes of verifying your age to protect the children. And I don't care what anybody says, and I've read a million articles on this. Oh, no. There's these companies that will quickly do it. It's like the company that had the DNA, remember? And then they had a big data hack, and all of a sudden now everybody's DNA, 23andMe or whatever it was, now everybody knew all your DNA and all of your potential cancers and everything else. Well, now the government's got all that information too. Does the day ever come when they decide they're going to rate you higher, charge you more because they know that you are predisposed to this condition or that condition? Yes. Absolutely. 100%. No doubt about it. You remember when, it seems like just yesterday, Lois Lerner and the IRS just happened to start going after conservative groups. Those were groups. When do they start going after conservatives based on what a pain in the ass you are online? We promise we won't store that information. It's a one-time thing, and then it disappears forever, and then we never know who you are. Once you're verified, you're verified. No, I don't believe that for a second. Do you? Absolutely not. But again, they get us to give up our liberty. They get us to give up our anonymity. They get us to do these things in the name of the C word. The children, the other C word, the children. It's always about protect, or China, one of those two. They say China, they say children, and all of a sudden conservatives go, yeah, take my liberty, please. It used to be terrorists, so we turned around and realized that we were the terrorists. But my God, think about this now. Another January 6th happens, the high holy day of the left. And everybody who's online posting about their whereabouts that day, boom, they know exactly who you are. They know exactly where to find you. They know exactly what you did. But wait a second. I just uploaded my ID just to make sure that I was over 18 or over 16 or whatever. And they told me they weren't storing that information. But maybe you think it's a great idea for the children. Like I said, we'll talk more about that. The other thing I want to mention is this too. There is a movie coming out called Supergirl. It's not shaping up to do well. Now, maybe it will. I don't know. Maybe the movie will do well. It's not directed by James Gunn, though it's in the James Gunn universe. And there is a report that Warner Brothers is not fully confident in this new movie. So they're now doing more test audience screenings to hopefully improve it. Why am I bringing this up? Like, who cares? It's Supergirl. It doesn't come out till June. I'm bringing this up because the actress in the movie is already blaming feminism, sexism for the movie's failure that hasn't even opened yet. So they're kind of setting the stage for this. Supergirl star claims people are upset she's a woman. Now, the character of Supergirl is like Batgirl or like, villain, like Catwoman. I got news for you. There are a lot of guys out there who particularly like seeing women in those kind of costumes. I'm not saying I'm one of them. I believe the term is cosplay. I Googled that. I didn't know what that was. I had to look that up online, but apparently that's a thing. So did you know that, Jared? I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I didn't until I was looking up a Brian Nome story and I got served. I didn't.
Well played.
Now I know.
Well played. Now you know. Like there are a lot of men who like to see beautiful, attractive women in tight latex, short skirts, boots. I know it's crazy.
Weird.
I know. Weird. I know. The Supergirl star, Millie Alcock, said this: "It definitely made me aware that simply existing as a woman in that space is something that people comment on. We have become very comfortable having this weird ownership of women's bodies. I really can't stop them. I can only be myself." She's already expecting backlash for playing the character, given that she's a woman in a superhero role. Now, this is not a new role. It's a role that's been around for a very, very long time. The first movie they made was terrible. Like in the 80s, they made a Supergirl movie. It was a disaster, but it was like a B budget movie and it wasn't good. But then they had a successful show for a number of years on TV called Supergirl or Superwoman or whatever it's called. I don't know. But what they're doing right now is they're setting the table for this idea that this movie's going to flop. And I think what they're doing is they're trying to blame it on the idea that people don't want to see it because she's a woman and they're mad that a woman's playing a superhero. Like, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. This is the dumbest thing. There have been so many women superhero characters. Black Widow's a great example. Scarlett Johansson has made a fortune playing a superhero, a virtual fortune. There are a lot of women who have played that character, the woman, Catwoman, and made a ton of cash playing that character. Men are not mad about this. Gal Gadot, who played Wonder Woman, and the only reason why Gal Gadot almost got canceled was because of her politics. She's tends to be very pro-Israeli. She was born there. But Gal Gadot made a ton of money.
I don't know her. Should I Google her? Should I look her up?
Gal Gadot, you might want to look her up. She played a Wonder Woman. Yeah.
Wow, she's quite pretty.
Some people would say that.
I'm not.
Some people might say that.
I don't see.
Yeah.
The reviews. She has 5-star reviews of being attractive.
Some people find her to be attractive. Okay. Not saying I'm one of them. I'm just simply saying some people find her to be attractive. But Millie Alcock is setting the stage now that people that there's an ownership of women's bodies. Guys don't do this when they get to play superheroes. Like when a guy gets to play a superhero, a guy gets to play Batman or Superman, they own it, they go with it. They might have conversations, and it's not even just a superhero. Like listening to Chris Pratt, who played Star-Lord in the Avengers universe, but the Marvel universe, Guardians of the Galaxy, but also plays Jack Carr's character, his leading character of James Reese. Jack Carr talks all the time about his training regimen. Because if you remember, his first role was Parks and Rec. And he was the fat, funny guy in Parks and Recreation. Then he was in Zero Dark 30, and he played a SEAL. And he had to bulk up for that. So in order to do that, he talks all about how he went on this like fitness regimen, his training regimen, and his eating, and he's totally fit and all this other stuff. Chris Pratt, from what I hear, is just everybody loves the guy. He's terrific. But at no point has he ever come out and whined about how people are taking ownership of his body because he has to show off his guns. You know what I mean? He's got to show off how ripped he is at playing James Reese. Like, that's not a thing. I think what's happening is I think Warner Brothers is very worried this movie's going to be a flop. That's why they're doing all of these new screenings of it. And they're bringing in writers to try to tweak it because they're saying this is not going to be that good of a movie. And I think she's worried that it's going to be a flop. And I think she's setting the stage right now by basically saying like, oh, you know what it is? It's just that they don't like the fact that a woman could be a superhero, which is such BS because the Wonder Woman movies made $1 billion. The
first one, yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is that I don't know why, but it's like, let's just blame the women won't go. She's not a known quantity. Gal Gadot was sort of blowing up in that exact moment when she was cast in Wonder Woman. Millie Alcock she was in House of Dragon in the flashback, like 3 or 4 episodes. She wasn't even in the full season. So the idea that she could hold down a superhero franchise is already a tall order. The Superman guy is also unknown. Like they're out on a limb with how they've cast these things anyway. You mentioned Scarlett Johansson. She's a known quantity in Hollywood well before they started doing that. So sticking somebody behind a $100 million franchise is kind of that's a step anyway. I feel bad that she's in that place, but it's definitely not because of that.
No, it's not because of that. I think that most guys look at her outfit, for example, and they're like, she looks pretty hot as Supergirl, right?
Looks pretty
good. But they had to recut the trailer and bring in the guy who plays Superman in the new iteration to put him in the trailer because audiences weren't even responding to the trailer because they don't know who she is. But I hate the idea that now if this movie flops, it's somehow my fault and it's sexism and it's somehow because we think we own women's bodies and suddenly now we don't like hot chicks playing superheroes. Like, in what freaking universe is that? I understand the metaverse and the multiverse and all the other nonsense, but there's no verse where guys don't like hot chicks dressed as superheroes or villains.
Absolutely.
That universe does not exist. Okay.
Preach.
And that's all we have time for today. So that's it. Let's see what happens with Iran. We'll hope they come to the table. Let's hope that they think President Trump is out of his mind and capable of launching hellfire, literally. And let's hope that convinces Iran to pick up the phone, call Jared, call Steve, and say, let's make a deal here, open up the Strait of Hormuz, and we can move on and get back with our lives. That's my hope and my prayer as we end the show today. My other hope and prayer is that you subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies, and we'll be back tomorrow for another rousing rendition of the Rich Zeoli podcast. Thank you for listening.
We're going to blow them up.
Let's go.